Len, we're not here for egg commentary. We are here for VGC commentary, and top 8 is ready to go. The second match of our top 8 featuring Neil Patel and Charlie Moses. Let's go ahead and throw it down to the players as they are seated across from each other and getting ready to get into this matchup here. Depicted on the screen right now is Charlie Moses. His first ever day 2, well, it's also his first ever top cut.
Yeah, it's his second season playing the game. It's his first day 2 and straight into the first top 8. Did earn his Worlds invite already earlier this season with that Global Challenge top 32 finish. So still a player that's having success at locals and earning championship points at the regionals he's been to. He's piloting this team of Ogerpon, Wellspring, Chiyu, Fluttermane, Glamora, Tornadus Incarnate, and Urshifu Single Strike. A team a lot of players out there probably have seen before, will have played against in their locals. I think he piloted as well at the Knoxville Regional Championship a bit ago. I asked him about it. He said that he used it for a while, came off of it, but then realized it might be a pretty good fit in this metagame. Glamora pretty good into those Raging Bolt balanced teams, and that's exactly what he's going to be playing up against today.
Yep, Charlie has already qualified for the World Championships. His brother competes in the younger age division and has also qualified for the World Championships as well. Like I said, first day 2, first top cut, only his second season competing, and here he is. It's great to be in the top cut, and Charlie, you have so much to be proud of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really impressive as a player to make this kind of finish in such a strong field with a team that doesn't really surprise anyone. You're not catching anyone off guard. You're just having to do it off of your own strengths.
Yep. Across the table from Charlie is Neil Patel. No stranger to the top cut at all. If you look at his accomplishments, Vancouver Regional Top 8, Sacramento Regional Top 16, Charlotte Regional Top 8, Vancouver Regional Top 8. This is 3 back-to-back-to-back consecutive top 8 finishes here for Neil.
Yeah, 3 top 8s in a row is so impressive. That consistency is really hard to find, and Neil's been able to do it. A lot of it playing with this Rillaboom Incineroar balance team. With a little bit of offensive emphasis as well, does have the Focus Energy, Grassy Glide, Ogerpon, has the Qian Pao to kind of have other really offensive modes besides the Raging Bolt within the team.
It's wild to me that Focus Energy is a move being used. That was always one of the moves when I was playing red, blue, or yellow. One of the first moves to be deleted.
It was always like a turn off when the NPC used Focus Energy instead of actually attacking. You're like, okay, I got by with one. I don't imagine Charles is going to be feeling that way when he sees a Focus Energy coming down, because what that means is Ivy Cudgel starts to crit way more consistently and just do so much damage.
Yeah, and of course there you see it, Neil Patel hoping to be able to break through to the semi-finals here after that string of top 8 finishes. Both players have made their selection, and we're ready to get underway here with our second top 8 match here at the Orlando Regional Championships. This is going to be an intense battle. Like you said, Len, that Glamora is going to be a key piece to be able to possibly break through this Raging Bolt balance team that Neil is running. Over on Neil's side, we'll lead with Rillaboom and the Qian Pao. On Charlie's side, we'll be leading with Fluttermane and the Glamora. Yeah, so the Glamora, no surprise to see it immediately on the field. It threatens so many of Neil's Pokemon. Obviously, both the ones on the field right now, it can threaten huge damage against with Meteor Beam or Sludge Bomb, and that continues to a lot of Pokemon that could be in the back for Neil, like the Incineroar or the Ogerpon Heartflame. And besides that, the Toxic Spikes that if Glamora gets hit are also pretty impactful. You don't want to bring in your Raging Bolt and start trying to click Calm Mind once it is already Toxic Poison. That's not a recipe for success. Toxic Spikes can also be used to break Qian Pao's Focus Sash, so they can have a really big impact in this match. But at the same time, Glamora, not the fastest Pokemon, is vulnerable to Fake Out, could get taken off the field without actually doing so much damage. So I think a lot of this match could revolve around how well Charlie can get value out of that Glamora. Qian Pao terrestrializes, becomes the Stellar type to give it some more offensive options here. Here's a Sucker Punch from that Qian Pao, will land into the Fluttermane and is not able to get the one-hit KO. Fluttermane hangs on with just a sliver of health, and here's a Dazzling Gleam to retaliate, bringing Qian Pao down into the red, but here's Rillaboom with a high horsepower, connects into Glamora and picks up the one-hit KO there.
Yeah, so you can see the exact speed problems that Glamora has moving after the Rillaboom there, and Rillaboom just has the necessary coverage move with high horsepower to get a 4x super effective hit and KO Glamora. That does come with a layer of Toxic Spikes down, but only one layer is something you can at least try to balance out with the Grassy Terrain down. Charlie only avoids like a devastating turn because Fluttermane was able to hang on through that Stellar boosted Sucker Punch and get a Dazzling Gleam down. That chips Rillaboom a little bit, but does a lot of impactful damage to Qian Pao, but otherwise a really strong turn for Neil. And because Qian Pao's still around, that Dazzling Gleam, while it was a lot of damage back, doesn't necessarily change Neil's field position. Can still use a priority from either Rillaboom or Qianpao to threaten this Flutter Mane. Doesn't matter if Tornadus tries to support with Tailwind. Though both of these Pokemon, if a Bleak Wind Storm were to come down, that's big damage, and a Rillaboom would be able enough to finish a KO onto Qianpao. Of course, Tornadus has to first get through a possible Ice Spinner from this Qianpao that would still be Stellar Terra boosted because it was the Dark one that was burnt last turn.
Charlie now will opt to Terrasilize his side of the field. The Tornadus is going to Terrasilize into the Steel type here, trying to remove that weakness to the Ice Spinner from the Qianpao.
You can see Neil's reaction. You have to imagine this is what he expected. Will he just go straight on the offense against it?
Flutter Mane protects itself here. How is Neil going to react to this as Rillaboom uses Grassy Glide, trying to pick off the Flutter Mane over on Charlie's side into that Protect, though. So here goes the Qianpao, yep, opting straight for the Sacred Sword, hitting right into that Steel type Tornadus, and that is big damage. Not enough for the one-hit KO. It will hang on. Qianpao will take damage from the Rocky Helmet, and here's a Bleak Wind Storm. Does it connect on everything? No, Rillaboom dodges the attack, but it does get the KO on Qianpao, but man, it would be nice to get some damage down on that Rillaboom.
Yeah, just such a back and forth turn. Neil correctly guesses the Terastallization, lands the Sacred Sword, but misses the KO. The Tornadus trained to be so bulky to be able to take a Stellar Terastallized boosted, super effective Sacred Sword, but that cashes in the Bleak Wind Storm. It's enough to get the KO on Qianpao, but it misses into Rillaboom, leaving that Rillaboom so healthy. And now you have two extremely low health Pokemon on Charlie's side of the field. Neither of them is going to be able to take a Grassy Glide, likely. The Tornadus is going, because it lost its flying typing, is going to start healing from the Grassy Train. We saw how physically defensive it is. It might be able to get to the point where it can take a Grassy Glide, but it would take a bit. And meanwhile, Incineroar can also support with Fake Out into Tornadus, not a Covert Cloak Tornadus. It would be able to land and just partner next to a Grassy Glide. So it's going to be difficult for Charlie to find a situation where he can actually deal damage again in this match. It's going to depend on what that fourth Pokemon in the back is.
Yeah, so it's a tough spot right now. You don't want to be on the side of the field with two heavily damaged Pokemon and the other side of the field having access to two priority moves right now. So Charlie has to figure out a way to get around this here, as Tornadus will protect itself. Does not want to flinch from the possibility of a Fake Out or get picked off with a Grassy Glide, and Flutter Mane actually gets a double Protect there, so trying to hang on for this turn, burns his turn of Fake Out here, as well as another turn of that grassy terrain, so this is going to be a dead turn for Neil. Will not be able to get any damage out, as Incineroar shows Will-O-Wisp trying to burn and possibly punish anything that would switch into that slot.
Yeah, Neil trying to catch a switch with Flutter Mane leaving and get a burn. Expecting the Tornadus to just protect itself and not get faked out. That expectation is correct, and Tornadus protects itself, but Flutter Mane also goes for the double protect and gets it, so nothing happens that turn. That leaves the time for a little bit of Grassy Train recovery onto Flutter Mane and Tornadus, and a little bit of poison damage on the Incineroar, but it doesn't greatly change the position. Fake Out is gone, Tornadus is a little bit more free to attack. It's starting to get enough health where Grassy Glide isn't a sure thing, with maybe one more turn of Grassy Train recovery. Flutter Mane, you have to wonder if it is just going to be sacrificial at this point. It already was greatly risked. The last turn could have just failed that double protect and gone down to Grassy Glide. Charlie prioritizing the Pokemon in the back, being able to come in healthy after this, but it's going to have to fight a mystery Pokemon that he still doesn't expect.
Yep, and Rillaboom picks off the Flutter Mane, a little bit of more damage on top of that with a critical hit, as now Tornadus will be able to move, will use Bleak Wind Storm, connects on both Pokemon here, brings Rillaboom down to about 50%, chunks away at Incineroar, and here's a knockoff from that Incineroar into that Tornadus. Gonna knock off that Rocky Helmet while taking some recoil back, and now it's down to Charlie's last Pokemon versus 3 more Pokemon over on Neil's side of the field.
Yeah, you have to hope it's the Chi-Yu, something with spread damage that might be able to fight its way through these Pokemon. The Incineroar is whittled down pretty significantly now after taking a Bleak Wind Storm, a couple turns of poison damage, and a Rocky Helmet hit. But no, the Urshifu single strike is going to be doing single target damage. No spread moves. It needs at minimum 3 attacks to clean through this game, and you have to imagine enough damage would come back in the meantime to make that impossible. Yeah,
Urshifu does have the Focus Sash, so it will be able to at least survive 1 attack, but will it be able to get KOs and kind of get around this perfectly? Here it is, Grassy Glide from the Rillaboom will break that Focus Sash there, and Urshifu will retaliate with a Wicked Blow, gets the KO on that Rillaboom, but of course now Incineroar will be able to move here. Incineroar will go for a knockoff into that slot, brings it down to about 50%, but Urshifu, not exactly the bulkiest Pokemon, so it really depends on what the Incineroar has to deal with it, as well as what Neil's last Pokemon is, but it could be tough for this Urshifu to claw back.
Yeah, the knockoff is interesting there. Neil maybe not thinking he has to risk hitting a Will-O-Wisp, which would have probably done more damage over time and really mitigated the damage coming in against this Raging Bolt. But you can see why. Raging Bolt, it can just kind of click a Dragon Pulse this turn. There's nothing that this Urshifu, with Terrestrialization already spent, with no boosting item, can do to try to one-hit KO this Raging Bolt. If you can't one-hit KO this Raging Bolt, then more damage is going to come back. Maybe it's bulky enough to take a Dragon Pulse. That is Urshifu's best hope at this point. You can see how little the damage coming from the other side is with just knockoff. Here comes the Wicked Blow, not even half to the Raging Bolt. The Dragon Pulse coming back through.
And that's enough to get the KO there. So Neil Patel wraps up game 1 here, knocking out that Urshifu. So Neil Patel, 1 win away from making to the Masters top 4, that semifinal that he really wants to be able to break through after having 3 consecutive top 8s here.
Yeah, that game was the first couple turns of fireworks. Pokemon were just going down left and right. Neither player making extremely safe players, both having to take some risks. Charlie leaves the Glamora hanging, and it just goes down to high horsepower. We talked about how big of an impact it could have on this game, but in the end, it had no impact, going down before it was KO'd, and that's devastating for his chances to win. Neil was 1 turn ahead with other moves like the Sacred Sword into the Tornadus, and just built that lead that let him play a little bit more safely towards the close of that game, and dealing with Charlie's last couple Pokemon.
Yeah, so again, Charlie's going to have to play around these first turns carefully. Does not want this to be repeated where so much damage was dealt by Neil on the first turn. I mean, getting the Glamora knocked out immediately, devastating. Getting Flutter Mane brought down into Grassy Glide range made you have to play so much more defensively, and then Neil calling it with the Sacred Sword into the Terrestrialized Tornadus, that same turn that it Terrestrializes, pretty big as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But one thing to take from this game is that despite it being pretty one-sided, Neil dominating, that was because of those reads, those unsafe plays that worked out. It doesn't represent like an insurmountable team advantage in this game. A few things go differently. Maybe Glamora on turn 1 uses a Grass Terrestrialization to take resisted damage from high horsepower and just Meteor Beams the Chien Power, Sludge Bombs the Rillaboom, and this game looks very different from that point on. And so it is just back to the drawing board. Charlie is down 1-0. He's going to have to get it right more than Neil is going to have to get it right to win the rest of this match, but he's by no means out of it.
No, Charlie has the pieces. It's just a matter of whether or not Charlie can navigate it, or if Neil will be able to hit those reads again in this game. But it's mind game now if you think about it. Like, if Neil is willing to make those slightly more dangerous plays, it could work out again, it could not, who knows? It could go either way as the leads are sent out. It is going to be Chien Pao and Raging Bolt over on Neil's side of the field, while Tornadus and the Glamora over on Charlie's side of the field. So an adjustment here from Charlie and an adjustment from Neil as well.
Yeah, once again, a really critical turn for both players to try to understand where the Chien Pao should attack and where it is going to attack. If Charlie can diffuse the damage coming from Chien Pao with a Terrestrialization or a Protect, this turn is going to look a lot better from him. But if it gets a big KO, things look a lot worse.
Tornadus on Charlie's side will set up Tailwind now, so Glamora will be able to go for an attack this turn. It is going to be the Meteor Beam. It is going to boost its special attack here and throw out some damage onto this Raging Bolt. But Raging Bolt's a very bulky Pokemon. Raging Bolt hangs on with just a little bit of health, and here's an Ice Spinner from that Chien Pao. Connects into that Tornadus slot, gets the one-hit KO, will take some recoil, but most importantly, breaks that Focus Sash on that Chien Pao.
Yeah, the Ice Spinner over Icicle Crash, meaning that it's a contact move that breaks Focus Sash, is pretty important to this match. Means that Chien Pao only needs 1 hit likely to go down. The trade of Tailwind for Tornadus is probably in Charlie's favor. Now has those last 3 turns of Tailwind operate with 2 big attackers on the field, but he does have to worry about priority. Both Raging Bolt and Chien Pao could throw out priority moves. If both of those priority moves land into Flutter Mane will go down. A Fairy Terrestrialization can try to get away from that if you can resist the Sucker Punch and be bulky enough to take the Thunderclap. It could work out. Of course, Glamora also has to watch out for priority moves. And another aspect of this, Glamora with the power herb already spent may not actually be able to KO Chien Pao. At +1, the Sludge Bomb could be close. You don't have a rock move to hit into Chien Pao anymore.
Yeah, so tough turn right here. Charlie needs to be able to take advantage of these next couple turns of Tailwind. Again, that Chien Pao Focus Sash being broken is going to be pretty important here, as there will be Terrestrialization happening here. It is going to be the Flutter Mane Terrestrializing into that Fairy type to try to get away from that neutral Sucker Punch, trying to resist that Sucker Punch that may be landing into that slot. We saw how much it did after the Qianpao terrestrialized last time, but Qianpao can tend to just protect this turn, does not want to get knocked out just yet, as Raging Bolt will also protect, just trying to see what Charlie's going to do, as well as stall out one turn of Tailwind.
Yeah, stall out one really crucial turn of Tailwind. The downside when Tornadus is traded for a single Tailwind is that means you have 3 turns to act inside of it. One of those just get burnt by a double protect, and then once out of Tailwind, things are going to look even more in Neil's favor. So Charlie now, though, has the next turn to really capitalize on this. There won't be protects coming out, most likely. There could be switches trying to diffuse the damage, but this is Charlie's chance to capitalize it and try to even the Pokemon score, because right now, he's down a Pokemon. Glomora's damaged, Raging Bolt's damaged. There's pretty much a whole Pokemon advantage for Neil. But with the speed control in his favor, the Sucker Punch doing resisted damage to Fluttermane, that's not probably going to be low enough to put it in Thunderclap range. This is critical. It's not even close. And that means the Dazzling Gleam can come out and KO this Qianpao.
Yep, will connect with both Pokemon. Gets the double knockout right here. Glomora will be attacking into nothing here. So now it's going to come down to Neil's final 2 Pokemon. Charlie still has one more Pokemon hidden in the back, but most importantly is trying to take advantage of these Tailwind turns. So there's a Sludge Bomb, but it's going to fail because there's no other target on Neil's side of the field. So Charlie has the pieces here. How are these next few turns of Tailwind going to play out? Urshifu over on Neil's side will take the field, as well as Rillaboom to take the field. So the final 2 Pokemon over on Neil's side, Rillaboom and Urshifu.
Yeah, more priority options. You have Aqua Jet and Grassy Glide. That would probably just pick up 2 KOs. An Aqua Jet into Glomora, a Grassy Glide into Fluttermane. No Terastallization to help with it. You can't protect the Glomora. Makes it very difficult. Of course, there's also only 1 turn left in Tailwind. That's going to be a problem for Glomora, which we already saw is slower than Rillaboom. If we ever got to that point where Neil isn't just safe to click priority attacks, it's looking like the priority that Neil has makes that trade of Tornadus to get the speed control just so much less valuable if you're still moving second every turn. After the Tailwind happened, we saw a double protect turn, then a turn where both of Neil's Pokemon moved before being attacked, and now we may see another turn where both of Neil's Pokemon move before getting attacked.
And here's the Aqua Jet connects into the Glomora, gets the KO right there, will drop Toxic Spikes, but that's not going to matter at all because no other Pokemon are going to be switching in. So knockout right there from Neil's side. Again, so much priority being used over on Neil's side of the field, and here's a Grassy Glide boosted by the terrain. Fluttermane cannot hang on at all. It's not physically bulky, and it's already taken so much damage, so Fluttermane will get knocked out. And again, it's going to come down to Charlie's last Pokemon, whatever is in the back, and how it can deal with these 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, but now without Tailwind, you're going to be down between the speed comparison between these 2 Urshifus. You have to imagine Charlie's still may be the fastest thing on the field, but once again, the same problem. It's only a single target attacker. It can only put damage in one place at a time. Charlie, no pivoting on the last turn, just opted to get into this endgame, but close combat isn't even enough to KO Urshifu.
Close combat does damage to Urshifu, but does not get the KO. The defenses will drop. Urshifu on Neil's side will get a close combat, bring it down Focus Sash, but here it is. Rillaboom will just connect with another move, and it looks like Neil Patel is going to be moving on to your semifinals here, your top 4.
Yeah, just a really well-played match to Neil, understanding the advantages he had, pressing the offense, not trying to slow things down and play with Raging Bolt, but just going out, attacking every turn, using the priority in his advantage to cleanly take 2 games and the top 8 match.
Yeah, so well played from Neil right there. You know, game 2, Charlie was able to pick up speed advantage because of that Tailwind, but, you know, it's tough to... You said it best, like, when we were talking about it during the game, but, like, you set up Tailwind, you burn 1 turn of Protect, and then you get 2 Pokemon knocked out, but before your Pokemon get knocked out, you get 2 attacks off anyways. That's devastating. Yeah,
I mean, it was speed advantage, but it was fake speed advantage. Charlie never actually moved first for the turn, any turn after the first turn of the game. Neil just has priority across way too many Pokemon on the team. If you look at it, 5 of the Pokemon have priority, and Incineroar is the 6th one out, which actually has Fake Out still. Just so much priority available for Neil to disrupt this Tailwind setup, and Charlie didn't have the pivoting tools to try to play defensively against that. Just had to keep taking the damage in. There was this turn with Glomora and Fluttermane both on the field. There was no way to try to get away from it. Nothing you could really do except let both Pokemon go down.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of just big KOs. I mean, a lot of damage is being thrown out onto the field with all that priority from the Raging Bolt and the Qianpao, just so that the Rillaboom and the Urshifu can just clean up afterwards too, right? So well played by Neil right there to navigate himself to the top 4.
Yeah, just played it very cleanly, understood his win conditions and how to play that match, and had a pretty good team matchup ultimately against Charlie. The Gomorrah was the biggest threat, but he was able to make sure and put damage, like target it down in the first game so it never did anything at all, and weaken it in the second game so that it was in Aquajet KO range, and that was really all he needed.
Yeah, so that's... You still got to congratulate Charlie. I mean, Charlie made it to top 8 here at the Orlando Regional Championships, a big tournament, first day to first top cut. Congratulations to Charlie for making it this far. You're going to North American International Championships. Best of luck to you there. Best of luck to you at the World Championships as well, which you have already qualified for. So again, Neil Patel moving on to the top 4 here. And this balance team is a team that Neil has been using for a very long time. He knows the ins and outs of the team, right? This is a team that he's very comfortable with, and this is a team that he's using to pilot, and he's doing really well with it.
Yeah, it's looking pretty strong. It is his own take on it. It's not completely identical to other versions of it. And like you say, he's comfortable with it. Looks very strong playing different modes of it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at the updated bracket now. All the top 8 matches have finished. We just watched Charlie Moses versus Neil Patel. Neil will be going up against Justin Karras, who defeated Aaron Brock in that top 8 match. On the other side of the bracket, Ben Grismer defeats Joshua Lorsi, and we saw in the previous streamed top 8 match, Wolf Glick in a nail-biter versus Zachary Weed. So the semifinals, the top 4 is going to be Neil Patel versus Justin Karras, Ben Grismer versus Wolf Glick.
One NDD on either side of the bracket right now. Justin's got his Iron Crown NDD team. Ben's got the Hard Trick Room NDD team. Both players outside of that will be fighting their way through the Trick Room options, and Justin's kind of faster Psychic Spam option. Should be 2 pretty interesting matches.
Yeah, and remember, we have already seen Justin Karras go up against Wolf Glick on stream yesterday in day 1, and there's a possibility for that to be the finals here in the Orlando Regional Championships.
Yeah, if Wolf was withdrawing from the match and slinking in his chair, I wonder what his reaction will be in the finals, but he's got one big challenge ahead of him first. Has to get through Ben and that really clever, well-constructed Hard Trick Room team.
Yeah, and we saw that Hard Trick Room team perform on stream earlier during the Swiss rounds. You know, Ben having a really great system to make sure that Trick Room is set up just so that, you know, his Trick Room sweepers can come in and just be able to deal as much damage and just try to end matches in 4 turns, basically.
Yeah, there are so many smart details on the team. I think that's really what's necessary to do super well with a Hard Trick Room team. I think a lot of players will start from the same 6 Pokemon base, but a lot of players will have also played against that 6 Pokemon base and understand what their win conditions are. It's those little techs and details, the little spice you throw into the dish that makes one of those teams successful, and Ben has a team full of them. The Healing Wish on the NDD, things like the Clear Amulet on Hatterene. I've never seen that before, but it's smart to be able to keep your special attack up in the face of Parting Shot. That makes it just a different look than what your opponents may have seen before, and means that Ben is often probably 1 turn ahead, 1 thought process ahead in how to deal with these opposing teams.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting semifinals here at the Orlando Regional Championships. We're going to throw it down to an interview now with Joe Brown, so take it away, Joe.